How are we doing today, guys? What's up? Why aren't you guys talking in chat to me, okay? I need people to talk to. What's going on in Discord?
Choices you made, though. It's not like the rules of the game require you to have a random order.
Like, but you don't know. You can't. Also dependent on the other person, right? You don't. You're not able to make an informed decision. Therefore, it acts like a random chance.
Is that Destiny?
Yeah. What's up?
Hey, Destiny.
What are you guys talking about in
here? So I'm
about eSports.
I'm retarded, and I say that Hearthstone.
You say what?
I think things like Hearthstone are inherently different than other esports, purely because of the amount of assumed loss based on their
random nature.
Yeah, the RNG nature of the game.
Yeah, and
we disagree.
Yeah, we disagree, saying that it can still be an esport because I feel the definition is just it's professional video games that is not dependent on how random. Because then you can say, well, League of Legends and Dota have crit chances. Where I remember there was a league match, a professional one, where a guy, it was pretty much he won the game just by one crit, right? And people were arguing how the RNG of that game, should that really be that much of a factor? And I don't see RNG as being a factor for when you have to choose if it's an esport or not. I just see that as a really weird choice argument.
I mean, I feel like likening it to a sport, like in the way it's a competition of skill, where a card game falls somewhere in a area of, I mean, I guess
coin flipping.
To a certain degree, because win rates among really successful players is not that high. I'm actually really curious what that is, but win rate.
Yeah, I think the highest is
percentage have
around
to do with deciding if it's an esport or not. That's now I kind of want to go back to that.
It's not the esport. It's more like the sport. It's whether I consider something a sport first, and whether it's electronic is the secondary.
No, because that was the primary argument. You said that Hearthstone isn't an esport.
Because it's not electronic, but because it's not really a sport, because it's coin flipping.
Yes, but the definition was that it was a professional video game. I think that's where we agreed that makes it an esport, right? So that was the main argument.
Well, it sounds like he's not arguing whether or not something is. So I don't think professional has anything to do with his argument, right? Because professional
or whether
that was just the starting point that we.
Yeah, sure. So it sounds like it's whether or not he would consider it a sport at all first, and then his argument is that there are sufficient RNG elements in Hearthstone to preclude it being considered any kind of sport, right?
I guess you could say that, but
that's what he is saying, right? But then that's the argument on whether or not that's true or not. Would you consider something like poker, like a sporting event?
And that's just popped into my head. Yeah, it's a I know people consider it a sport, and I think it's a game of skill that is maybe there's a I don't know. It's actually a really good question whether poker is the standard win rate for a poker game, because if you're if you're in if you're winning 53% of your games, or hands, or however they do the stats in poker, I think you can I feel like it's not really you're diminishing the amount of competition, the impact of competition when you're accepting almost 40% losses based on pure randomness.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, but that's part of the game, right? I guess the way that I would view it, and everybody views it a little differently, is ultimately is it within a player's skill to manage the RNG aspect such that they can manipulate a positive win rate, right? If you can have a 55% win rate, but the problem is that when people think of skill in skill games, I don't normally think of it that way. For instance, an NFL team will have a 95% plus win rate against any college team, right? Because football just doesn't have very much luck in it at all, right? Very, very, very little.
Yeah.
So like there is no variance to manage, but that's not part of the game of football. The game of football doesn't have much of like, you know, making like EV plus decisions or things like that's not really what you do in football is manage variance. Whereas in a game like poker or in a game like Hearthstone or any competitive card game, right? You're managing some level of probability, right?
Yeah, card count and all that kind of stuff.
In professional Hearthstone, though, a lot of the strategy comes from like when you go into a tournament, it's like reading the meta field and you know knowing how to ban specific classes that your deck is not going to have you know a lot of luck going up against. And I feel like since the average everyday Hearthstone player doesn't experience that, then a lot of that aspect of the professional scene gets undermined. Because honestly, now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Pavel had a 68% win rate at one point when he was like winning fucking tournament after tournament. And like if you look at some of the best StarCraft 2 players, and obviously nowhere near the skill cap, but you see like similar win rates, right? I don't think there was ever such a person in StarCraft that like dominated.
Depending.
Wait, what?
What amount of time you're talking about? Like there have been months at least where certain players had I remember a month where Rain had a 90% win rate, for example.
Yeah, but
even if the top players were at 50%, that would still be dependent on skill.
And I mean,
I guess if you
compared
determine
to StarCraft, like wasn't there like in Burning King Prime that won several tournaments like over and over and over? There's several players that have done that just because win rate is a bit of a weird metric.
It definitely is. Yeah.
Another thing specifically with Hearthstone is that even if someone ends up getting like a really good win rate for a short amount of time, what inevitably happens is that someone will neck deck them, and then everyone else will neck deck them. So it'll even it out anyway. So it just like how fast, depending on how fast net decking happens, the deck creation and how you play the deck even doesn't even matter that much more than how you adjust.
So we're comparing Hearthstone to something like StarCraft, and we're talking about like I don't think it's a matter of like what the comparable percentage win rate is among like top players. It's why you're assuming that risk, a risk of you know like a 45% loss rate just off the bat. So like a good player can just have a bad game or have a bad build order. I don't know a whole lot about StarCraft, but
no. Like in StarCraft is very much the opposite of Hearthstone. There is very, very, very little RNG in StarCraft, where a player that is better than another one can be expected to win a large majority of those games generally.
So how do we look at this? Do we look at it like where the like as people playing the game where the baseline of what a normal win rate is, and then you just go from that percentage of okay, a good player in Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone gets somewhere between 52 and 58% wins, and everyone else is somewhere in the 48 to 42. But I just feel like it's a weird way to look at it from a competitive standpoint, where so much like I play a decent amount of Magic, so like you're gonna lose a lot of games just through like that's just part of the game. You're just gonna lose a lot of games, and there's nothing you can do. There was never anything you could do if everything's actually random.
Was there ever a distinction made between competition and sport? Can rock paper scissors be a sport? Is that a thing?
I mean, you could.
If it gets really intense, and
I do believe there's actual tournaments for it, or at least there's like a world championship. But
like bagging,
that is like almost full on RNG.
You can like pattern recognition. It's like reading in poker, isn't it?
I think it could be argued that there's some degree of skill that can be exercised in playing.
Well, that's why I said
that's ridiculous as that sounds.
I
did watch one of them where they were actually looking at each other, kind of reading each other based off the patterns that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I would argue that a good Hearthstone player will always or most of the time, I'm saying like 80%, 90% of the time, win a best of 5 versus a player that is bad. I think that eventually probability starts to rule in their favor inherently, and they will win 3 out of 5 games.
Right.
Well,
the problem isn't
like
with
how deep do you have to reach in the skill pool to get that? So, like for instance, in StarCraft, like a player of considerable skill, like a professional and a semi-pro, will win like like if you take a pro versus a semi-pro, that pro will win like 90+% of games, right? Maybe more. Whereas in Hearthstone, if you were to take a professional player versus like top 100 legend people, are they really winning 90+% of games? Or is it going to be like maybe 65% of games? Like
no one wins that kind of, like, you're talking like, in the upper 50s, like, and that's where, I just feel like when you talk about those games as strict competitions, when so much of the game is reliant on your opening card draw, and how you've randomized your deck.
That's just kind of what you accept, though, as that's the type of game it is. So like if you have that, if you have a 65% win rate, you consider that to be very, very, very good. But that's just your expectation for that type of game,
Yeah, so it's a competition that is partially decided by the strictest rules of the RNG in the game.
Sure.
Maybe my verbiage on how I'm classifying these things is not really useful. I just feel like at some point you call something like a sport or like a definition of skill, or comparing the skill level of two people or two groups, and then you have things that get farther away from that when you get to things like Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, and it's like, you can win 55% of the time.
You're pretty much what you're arguing over here is like, it's not really whether something is a sport or not a sport. That's not really the argument. The argument is just, how do you define a sport? Like, how much probability or luck can enter something before you have to invent a different word to describe it, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually exactly.
Would luck be one of the parameters by which you define a sport? Like Hearthstone, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like, that would have to be one of the things that you take into consider when regarding something as a sport. I'd say so, but it'd be really difficult to decide the gradient there.
But I mean, for chess, the only random factor there is just who begins on which side, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if is it.
That's like at the highest level. Don't they each get like a turn on every side? I mean, I would suppose that's.
I'd assume they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, in that case, there's almost no risk, right?
But like,
they
play for draws and like whatever. Chess is a weird fucking sport.
It certainly. One side does have an advantage, but there's some way to normalize it.
Even that is like, I don't know. I've seen people write really big disagreements over that. Like it's like fairly well accepted, I think, in chess that white has the edge, but there are some people that like vehemently disagree with that. That a lot of it is a psychology thing, and that people are too resigned. Or something. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it.
The same in League, where there's a certain percentage you can see.
No, that's actually true because of the way that the jungle works out, though.
Wait, what's a League thing?
In League, I think is it bottom left has the advantage? I don't remember the colors.
Blue.
Yeah, it's bottom left.
Blue has the advantage.
Yeah, because of the way the jungle ends up working out, and the way you can get to dragons and how you fight the Baron fights and everything. Like, but that's an actual but that's an asymmetrical map, so that's like
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But in chess, someone gets an extra move. That's a huge advantage. I think it'd be almost pretty much impossible to have a game be truly even odds when someone just gets a flat out extra move at the beginning.
I think that in order for chess to be equal, they need to follow Hearthstone and give the player that goes second a coin.
But if you play multiple games, chess, would be eliminated? Kind of like with poker or something.
Yeah, it'd be statistically mitigated over a series of games, and I don't know what is the grand finals of the international. How many rounds is that? What's the name of the
Dota?
world?
In Dota?
No, in chess.
Oh.
A world championship.
It's something.
Finals. Let's see how many games there are. There's 12 games. So I mean,
You're just talking about like evening out the
actually there's
RNG chance.
Yeah. So in League you have like what? I just watched the finals for the international today, and there was like 5 games. But you have an entire depending on what your move speed in League is, you have entire seconds where you have access to Baron and they do not. Like a flash.
Well, it's more than just movement speed.
Yeah, I mean, depends on what character. And that's why the game is
character, full team.
I don't see the big difference between that and chess. There's an asymmetric difference with who goes first.
Yeah, but like you dilute the you can mitigate those differences in a way that you can't in chess, other than just playing more games. Like you can work around the fact that you're on purple by picking a champion that doesn't care about setting up dragon as early or something.
Yeah, but then you're already in an area where you're forced to select a certain character.
Yeah, you're playing around things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like by your admittance there that you have to play around something is an admittance that there is an imbalance, right? Because you have to modify your strategy to deal with something that's out of your control.
Yeah, unless there's like 5 junglers. I don't know what it.
What?
5 junglers. Yeah, that'd be a fun game right there.
Yeah.
So what do you call a game that's a competition? It's a high-level competition, has like a significant amount of skill, like seriously game-defining. But then 30 or 40% of the games are going to be determined just
I think
point flips.
I think this is basically the difference between gaming, skill related to gaming, and then skill related to metagaming. In card games, it's more based around skill related to metagaming rather than the actual skill that you use while playing the game.
A lot of tournaments, you're gonna have to have a lot of knowledge of the metagame before going in if you're actually gonna get into like anywhere deep into a tournament.
Pokemon's the same way.
Obviously.
That's the same for almost anything. Doesn't chess have a metagame to it as well, to some extent?
Definitely.
Yes.
Specific plays, I'm sure are more optimal than others, but like.
Well, no. Metagame isn't about optimal. Metagame has something to do with optimal plays, right? Metagame has to do with information that you gather outside of the game itself, right? So, like, if everybody tends to play like a certain style or something at a chess tournament, right? Knowing that certain style and being ready for it would be like knowing the metagame.
So, like
that would also be kind of.
Oh my God! What is that?
What the fuck was that?
Who the fuck is
I think someone's blowing their nose or something.
Who the fuck is snorting cocaine over there?
In that scenario, can you not say that someone is when you're talking about like that 30%, 35, 40%, just like game droppage rate because you just pull the wrong cards, that you're not like talking about you're not necessarily shifting the onus of your skill onto the metagame aspect. You're just reducing the amount of in-game skill as required to win games. Like for a significant amount of games, at least.
Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, what? I don't understand that.
So you were saying that there was like the metagame is like existent in like basically all forms of competition because there's people and people are not robots that just do optimal things. So you can just
in general, yeah, sure.
Find that information. Yeah, so you find that out, and like that's in every competition, regardless of what you're doing. So when you
in varying
more of a determined by RNG than other competitions, wouldn't you say that it's less skill reliant because there's more the randomness, and there's probably the same amount of metagaming required as in other competitions.
It's like a big rock paper scissors game.
I love it when there's a big fucking hole in my pants, dude.
Is there a sport that doesn't involve any sort of metagaming? Oh my God, the bird. Sorry about that.
Okay, do we have animal? What the fuck is going on, guys?
What the fuck is going on, dude?
I can't imagine there is.
Animal abuse.
Chess is the hardest game ever made.
What?
I thought that was Go.
No, it's definitely chess.
What do you mean
chess
by
is
hardest?
The most complex game ever made.
No, it's not.
Why
would you say that?
Wait, what? It involves the most skill humanly possible. It
Go
engages every part of the brain.
Okay.
So does Go. Wait, what?
Wait, he's trolling. Fuck off.
Go just has stones.
You only use 20% of your brain.
8 different pieces.
I think it's League of Legends.
Wow, good job, dude.
League of Legends easily comes in second, but chess is definitely first.
Easily.
Nice meme.
The truth is, Hearthstone is just a competition of coin flips, and
Shut the fuck up, nerd.
Damn, fucking relax, Jesus.
Get this guy out of here. No bullying allowed.
Guys, no bully.
Overwatch.
Well, I'm playing Hearthstone is at number 3.
It's
Bullying
not like
strictly
just
prohibited.
A full-on set of coin flips. Like there is.
Wait, do you guys think real-life sports aren't affected by variance?
No, because everything's deterministic.
No.
Wait,
well, shut the fuck up. Stop.
I think we
Are
already
you guys
agreed on
retarded?
Okay, listen, there is some degree of variance in real life sports, but at least insofar as I know, like in basketball and like football, like for American sports, there's not really that much variance in these.
No, there is. Like every time someone takes a shot, like the probability of it going in. It's
okay,
like...
you're fucking retarded. All right.
No,
that's really fucking dumb.
That's fucking retarded.
No, hold on.
Listen, there is no chance in sports. You're either
no, wait,
really
that's not true either, though. That guy's trolling. Somebody fucking ban him. Where are the mods here? Holy shit.
The strongest people win the sport, lads.
You mean Mr. Merton, the guy who doesn't do his own job?
In basketball, it's just how strong you are and how tall you are and your ethnicity.
You're fucking
right. Okay. Wait, when you draw up a play and you take certain shots, there are probabilities in which how good your shot is.
You must be black. You know exactly what you're talking about.
Wait, isn't that skill?
Okay, there is something. Yeah, that's a skill-based action.
Because of skill, the probability will go up.
Actual randomness in sports regard like there's environmental factors, the sun,
what,
wind.
Not in basketball because that's in.
Sometimes the light can be a few lumens brighter, so it can blind the player shooting the free throw.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see any of the football players wearing sunglasses. That could affect everything.
Wow, you haven't seen football then.
All the basketball players are
Wait, do they actually wear sunglasses?
Wait, they wear... No way. Hold on, stop. Who said it?
A shade.
Well, they wear
ski goggles. They wear ski goggles.
Wait, is that actually true?
No, what? They don't fucking do that.
I have never in my life seen football players with things covering their eyes.
Yeah, same.
No, they put the little black lines under their eyes. Boy.
Do they have contacts that make their eyes black?
That's a ban. Who's getting banned in here?
You just get
most of these the picture I just posted, some of them are tinted.
Okay, I don't fucking believe that for a second, dude.
I believe it, because it's from fucking Oregon.
Wait, the visors on the football helmets?
Yeah. I believe in you.
Oh shit, you're right.
Oh shit, you're right.
Some of them are
fucking
as fuck.
Whoa, fucking relax. Damn.
Yo, can you try not yelling? Just try that.
Thank you, Kate. Can you control these savages?
Let's get some
I'm trying. Mooden's not here to keep them in line.
It's the whole like probability thing. Like basketball, for example, you can't really take the sort of weather and all that because that goes out of the window.
No, when I say probability in sports, it's about the plays you draw and the shots you make, depending on what
yeah,
plays
but like,
you have.
but that's not what we mean by probability. Hold on, stop. That's not what we mean by probability. For instance, let's say that you have one player, okay, and he needs to draw a certain card to win the game. No amount of practice or preparation or rehearsal of skill could have allowed him to draw that card better. Whereas in basketball, sure, you're not going to hit every single free throw, but your ability when you throw that basketball, the only thing determining whether or not that goes into the hoop is your throw. There is no external factor, no coin flip, no draw on whether or not you actually make it into the hoop.
There's RNG.
What about
the midget?
All right, well maybe there's like 1% chance that something other than your ego affects it.
I would argue
if the wind really does affect it. There's a small chance of the wind.
Listen, there's no wind in basketball. What the fuck are we talking
about? There's like no wind. There's like 1% of times that the wind ever affects the ball. Ever.
Okay, now
like, and the only RNG in basketball.
What about the RNG in like the RNG per se in like your body?
What fucking RNG in your body?
Oh my!
That doesn't fucking exist. Your body's not a casino.
You gotta chill, my dude.
Relax.
The variance in your muscles.
Calm down.
Okay,
how many of you
I think there's a word for variance in your muscles is also called variance in how good you are at the game, i.e. skill.
Yeah,
that's why we don't count that as variance.
Look, none of that shit is even remotely comparable.
I feel like you guys are arguing skill to be like, oh, he's gonna 100% do this, oh, he's gonna 100% do that. Like, of course.
Are you saying that like the only factor that matters in physical sport is strength? Did someone say that earlier?
No, yes.
Yeah, but it was a troll talking about ethnicity too. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Right. Skill is basically how close to perfect, or in the case of basketball, getting the ball in the hoop when you shoot, as many times as possible out of 100 as you can. Right? That's what skill is.
That's a really
saying that's variance.
No, yeah, you're ignorant.
Yeah.
I feel offended by this.
Damn.